More University of Iowa international students' visas are stripped.
University ground crews prepare for a flowerous spring.
Track star brings an historic award to Iowa City.
A break from the wind, all of your full forecast in weather.
Good morning from Iowa City. It is Wednesday, April 16th. I'm Ryan Lynch.
And I'm Isabel Thier. And Ryan, on my way here, I had to put my winter coat on this morning. It's been a while, but I'm like, I just need to warm up.
Yeah, it was a little chilly this morning. I'm hoping we can get some warmer temperatures.
I sure hope so. I'm ready to put that thing in the closet. And we're going to send things over to Avery Evans so she can tell us what's going on.
Yeah, you guys, it looks to be a little bit warmer in these next couple of days. Looking out at the Pettercross, it's currently a high of 41 degrees. And for the rest of the day, it will reach a high of 70 degrees with some clouds. Tonight, it will drop to the low 50s, and we can expect to see some slight wind. Tomorrow, it will be just as consistent, with clouds and temperatures reaching the low 70s. I'll be back later with forecasts for the rest of the week, but for now, I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
For our top story, 5 University of Iowa international students have had their visas revoked by the government. Criminal records, speeding tickets, or even infractions that have been removed from a student's record can lead to a visa being revoked. These students do not have to leave the University of Iowa campus, as they can file for reinstatement.
3 people were arrested by Iowa City Police for an alleged assault of a 63-year-old man. The assault happened around 5 a.m. Sunday morning in the area of Clinton and Lafayette Street. Their victim suffered injuries to his head and leg. 3 defendants are charged with aggravated misdemeanors for the assault with intent of an older individual.
Zoning discussions are taking place at Iowa City City Council meetings.
DITV's Karch Smith is live at City Hall to tell us all about it.
Yes, Izzy, the Iowa City Council had a long debate last night during the City Council meeting where members of the community could stand up against the newly proposed zoning. The City Council meeting over lots between North Dodge and North Governor Street.
Property is a mix of single-family and multi-family zoning, including the 3 lots that remained zoned R3B, which is
Speakers from both sides were heard, and the North Governor residents voiced their opinions on the new zones.
And I would say that we should ensure that any development fits harmoniously within our community, preserving the unique cultural essence of the North Side and Newstown neighborhood that we so cherish.
The community came together to back their block and try to prevent the rezoning from happening.
Look at the number of petitions that have been signed representing property owners who are against the intensity, how intense the number of units and the number of bedrooms and the number of cars and vehicle traffic that will be coming in and out of this area.
With the zoning committee not meeting till May 7th, the City Council has decided to push back further discussions of the new zones. But for now, back to Ryan and Izzy at the desk.
There are a couple of new laws being introduced in the Iowa legislature.
So we're going to send things over to Felicity Menning in the newsroom for more details.
Thanks, guys. Iowa lawmakers have advanced a bill addressing the opioid settlement funds. This bill requires Senate agencies to pitch their plans for how to use the funds in a proposal to Iowa lawmakers. 75% of the unspent funds will go to the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services. 25% will go to the Iowa Attorney General's office. The bill requires both the Senate and Health Services to consider recommendations from regional behavioral health councils. Passing out of the House unanimously and will be considered by the Senate Appropriations Committee next. Iowa lawmakers are also working on requirements for hospitals when discharging mental health patients. Hospitals must provide a 15-day supply of medication for discharged mental health patients who were involuntarily committed. They'd be required to provide dates and times for follow-up appointments for patients, as well as notify the family and courts about their release. Right now, the bill is at a standstill as hospitals evaluate how it will impact their patients and the hospitals themselves. That's all I have. Back to you guys in the studio.
A major change could be coming to the Iowa Medicaid program. Governor Kim Reynolds requests new work requirements be added for able-bodied Medicaid recipients as of yesterday. The goal of these changes is to encourage Iowa residents to find employment. This is to ensure that Medicaid goes to those most in need of it. Changes could be made after 2 hearings and a 30-day period for public feedback before going into effect.
Since the beginning of April, a wave of tariffs have swung the stock market in all directions. DITV's Ryan Paris has what university students are doing in response.
Students around the University of Iowa have been watching the stock market closely these past few weeks.
Even though it's not necessarily for the right reasons, this is kind of the Super Bowl for hawk trade.
The recent wave of Trump tariffs began on April 2nd with the NASDAQ closing around 17,500. In the ensuing days, it dropped to the low 15,000s before Trump issued a 90-day pause, and now we stand at the high 16,000s. After reaching record highs in December, the market slowly cooled in the first month of 2025. The sudden drop occurred when President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs, or tariffs designed to balance trade deficits, on many U.S. trading partners. Since pausing the tariffs on all nations besides China, the market has slowly crept back up. But for student retail investors who input their own money into the market, the past few weeks have taught some lessons hands-on.
Number one, you never know the timing of when things are going to happen. You can't predict policies that are going to come out, and you can't really predict the effects that are going to come from that.
I'd rather risk not making huge profits rather than losing huge sums of money.
And investment clubs are taking the opportunity to grow their members' financial literacy.
I personally think that following and understanding what is going on with the economy right now, following it, looking at how markets fluctuate is a lot more valuable.
For now, the market seems to be stabilizing, but it remains unclear what will happen at the end of the 90-day pause. From the University of Iowa, Ryan Paris, DITV.
Spring has sprung, and the University of Iowa is working to make campus look like summer isn't too far away. The landscaping staff has been working hard to make things look better and give some plants a fresh start. Currently, they are transitioning from plowing snow to moving the lawn, trimming tree work. They also are working on getting plants and beds ready, planting flowers, and putting recycled mulch down to help the plants. With 36 full-time employees and over 2,000 acres to manage, the groundskeepers stay busy to keep things looking nice.
And that's our first impression for students and staff and their parents when they come to campus is how well is campus maintained. If it's not maintained well, then they probably don't want to be sending their kid here.
As the warmer weather continues, so does the work to make the university's landscaping a beautiful sight to see.
And coming up later, we have updates from the WNBA draft, award winners from both track and women's wrestling, and updates from the Diamond.
Thanks, Cole. And I personally am excited this weekend. I'm going to go home for Easter, see my family.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice with the holiday coming up, and hopefully we can get some warmer weather.
Me too. Well. I'm driving. I've got about 5 hours ahead of me, so I got to make sure things are going to be all right. So we're going to shoot over to Avery Evans and see how things are going.
Yeah, you guys, it might be a little difficult to make plans for this Easter weekend outside. Taking a look into the rest of the week's forecast, it looks to be a mix of clouds and showers. This Friday looks to be cloudy with temperatures in the low 70s. Heading into the weekend, Saturday will dip down into the high 50s with some clouds. Sunday we'll be seeing some rain showers for most of the day, so be ready to prepare for that if you have any plans for Easter. On Monday of next week, we'll be seeing some morning showers, but it looks like it'll clear up in the afternoon with temperatures in the high 60s. Tuesday will be in the high 60s with a little bit of sun throughout the day. I don't know about you guys, but even with a mix of weather conditions, I am still looking forward to making plans for this weekend despite the rain. Back to you guys at the desk.
Izzy, I'm not necessarily too excited for the rain, but it seems like with some basketball recent news, there's been some raining on the court.
Yeah, well, I'm personally proud of Paige Beckers, my Minnesota girl over here. I had her winning my basketball bracket, and she got picked first overall, so I'm pretty proud of her.
That's right. Paige Beckers got picked first overall in Monday night's draft. You want to know who also got drafted? That was former Hawkeye Lucy Olson. The 2025 WNBA draft took place Monday night in New York City. As I already mentioned, Lucy Olson was drafted in the second round, 23rd overall by the Washington Mystics. Olson transferred to Iowa from Villanova last season. The Iowa guard averaged 17.9 points per game her senior season and helped lead the Hawkeyes to the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Mystics totaled 5 draft picks and used their second-round selection to draft the former Hawkeye. The Mystics selection of Olsen makes it the 5th year in a row a Hawkeye has been selected. Abraham Vogelzang, the Hawkeyes track team's newest star, has hit the ground running in his freshman season. The young phenom has already earned an award that hasn't been given to a Hawkeye since 1998.
There's a new budding star here on the University of Iowa campus. You won't see him throwing touchdown passes at Kinnick Stadium, nor will you see him hitting game-winning shots at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Where you will see him, though, is on the track running the 60-meter dash, or in the field throwing shot put, or in the air competing in long jump. It's freshman Abraham Vogelzang. Abraham competes in one of the most grueling events in all of track and field, the heptathlon. The heptathlon consists of 7 total events. How the heptathlon works is after each event, heptathlon competitors earn a certain amount of points based on their performance. The athlete with the highest amount of total points at the conclusion of all the events wins. Closing out his first indoor season, Abraham placed 6th at the NCAA Indoor Championships, earning him first-team All-American honors. With these amazing accomplishments and many more during the indoor season, Abraham earned an award that hadn't been given to a Hawkeye since Jeremy Allen in 1998. He was awarded the Big Ten Indoor Freshman of the Year.
When I'm in my locker room and we go to the practice, we see all the great things Iowa have achieved. Super inspiring because you think like, oh, how is it possible to do such great things? And then you get one of these awards yourself, and you think like, okay, maybe one day it can be on the wall.
Believe it or not, what he's accomplished this indoor season is nowhere near what he was ready to do. So I'm excited about it, see what his future is and when he's truly going to reach his potential.
Abraham has yet to compete in an outdoor meet so far this season, but when he does, he'll be competing in the decathlon, where he hopes his success is as high as his pole vault, sky high. From the Hawkeye Indoor Track Facility, Sam Kupris, DITV Sports.
Keeping things rolling with the awards, Iowa wrestler Nenea Estrella is the winner of the inaugural female Big Ten Jackie Robinson Community Impact Award. The award recognizes community service that aligns with Jackie Robinson's legacy. One male and female student athlete was nominated from each of the 18 schools. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Patetti presented her with the award after practice on Monday. After the Hawkeyes swept their 3-game series against Maryland, the Hawks traveled out to Ames to face the Iowa State Cyclones. Devin Simon started out with an early home run to give the Hawks a lead, but after an Iowa State rally in the 4th inning, saw 6 straight runs for the Cyclones. Iowa would lose 9-5, making it their 5th consecutive loss in the Cy-Hawks series. Tonight, Hawkeye baseball hosts the Bradley Braves after coming off a 2-1 series win over Nebraska. The last time these two teams met, Iowa drew 14 walks and notched 8 hits in a 13-3 win earlier this month. The Hawks will have hope to sharpen their offense after leaving 11 on base in their most recent win against the Huskers. First pitch is set for 6:02 p.m. at Dwayne Banks Field.
And that sounds pretty nice. I mean, I'm ready to go watch baseball seasons, and I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm glad we're getting into these spring sports now, especially as the big ones have wrapped up. And a program in Atlanta named Canine Cellmates is giving felony offenders a second chance. The program pairs inmates with rescue dogs to train and hopefully adopt later down the line. The program teaches cellmates conflict resolution, effective communication, and staying out of jail 101 through the nonprofit Cellmates. Are recommended for the project and are dropped of all charges if they stay in the program for a year. Thank you for joining us online or listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.
We are here live from Iowa City every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. or online anytime at thedailyiowan.com.
For everyone here at DITV, thanks for watching.
See you again on Friday morning right here on DITV.
And stay tuned for DITV's political segment, The Update, following the break.
Stories occur every day, and here at DITV, we've got you covered with up-to-date news and politics.
Former President Donald Trump won the Iowa caucus.
And we are anxiously waiting for those votes for not only the national election, but here in District 1.
Keeping highlights and scores with Hawkeye Sports.
The All-American walk-on brought that punt return down this sideline and into this end zone.
Iowa looks to boost their overall placement and their way into the semis.
And of course, all the latest in entertainment.
Sit back, relax, and here's the word on the street. I'm here at the Alan McVeigh Theater where a unique performance.
Here at DITV, we've got a crew bringing you all the stories from across the nation and right here in your backyard.
From Washington, D.C., and Nashville, Tennessee.
From downtown Iowa City.
From Carver Hawkeye Arena.
And bringing all the coverage straight to you live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. Around the University of Iowa and Iowa City community, we have the stories that matter to you here at DITV.
Coming up, a governor's mansion engulfed in flames.
The Trump administration cracks down on national defunding.
United States House and Senate members are busy while away from D.C.
From the White House, covering the actions of the administration and how they are running our country. From the nation's capital, where Iowa lawmakers' work impacts the nation. From Iowa, where politicians determine what direction to take Iowa in. DITV's The Update is keeping you up to date with all the latest nationwide and statewide news and politics.
Hello and welcome to The Update, your home for national news.
From the White House, our nation's capital, and all over the country, we're keeping you up to date. I'm Ryan Lynch.
And I'm Isabel Thier. And Ryan, I know there's been a lot going on in the nation, you know, inside, outside, everything's just going on. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of news going on, just from tariffs to stuff in the House and Senate and just everywhere, really.
I know. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion was set on fire over the weekend. The governor stated early Sunday morning and left substantial damage to the property. No injuries were reported, and Shapiro and his family were evacuated. Police are calling this a planned attack of arson and arrested 38-year-old Cody Balmer in connection. Balmer turned himself into police just hours after the attack and is currently facing charges of attempted homicide, terrorism, and arson. Police claim Balmer climbed the fence outside the home before entering and setting fire to the property with a homemade Molotov cocktail. Police are still investigating whether this is an act of anti-Semitism, as the fire occurred just hours after Shapiro's Passover dinner.
We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay.
Moving over to education, visas are being canceled across the country for international students. Over 790 students at more than 120 colleges and universities have had their visas canceled or legal status terminated over the last few weeks. Visas can be revoked for a number of reasons. These colleges claim that students are losing to stay their right over the U.S. Over small infractions like parking tickets, students are enacting lawsuits against the Trump administration, saying they have been denied due process. And with all these things happening within the country, we're going to go right into the House of Representatives. Members of the House of Representatives are pushing government efficiency. One of the Republican members have called for the defunding of the National Public Radio and Public Broadcasting Service. This goes hand in hand with President Trump's goal to cut federal funding, as they're looking to cut $500 million from the corporation for public broadcasting. Although public broadcasting should not be affiliated with any political party, many Republicans believe that is too left-leaning with drag queens and transgender people. The National Public Radio reports on all things and are not politically biased organization. The Public Broadcasting Service serves local communities and provides educational content for children. The government is also cracking down on federal funding to Harvard University. After anti-Semitism allegations, the Trump administration is looking to renew nearly $9 billion worth of federal grants and funds going to Harvard.
Why are the American taxpayers subsidizing a university that has billions of dollars in the bank already? And we certainly should not be funding a place where such grave anti-Semitism exists.
The Trump administration sent the university a list of demands earlier in April, which consist guidelines on leadership, admission policies, and limitations on campus protests. Shortly later, Harvard's president refused to comply to these terms, and only hours after $2.2 billion worth of funds were froze to the university. And on March 15th, Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. He was deported to a mega prison with hundreds of other El Salvadoran and Venezuelan men. Due to a mistake, he was sent away, but the case made its way up to the Supreme Court, where that case was decided in 9-0 favor for Garcia's return. The president, however, is standing ground and does not believe he needs to bring him back. This is causing national uproar as the Supreme Court ruled that it is what needs to be done.
People who are in the United States under legal protective status, like Abrego Garcia was, are entitled to due process. So if the president gets to shred the Constitution and ignore the Supreme Court in this case, it is a very short path to the president ignoring court orders in other cases. So every American should care about this.
Nothing has been done to get Garcia back to America, but all eyes are on Trump and his next move.
United States congressional members are returning to their districts for a brief recess. Democrats are moving forward with existing plans to hold in-person town hall events, while Republican congressional leadership suggests that their party does not hold in-person events during their return to their districts. And however, some Republican senators and representatives are still hosting in-person events. For the House, Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Florida Representative Byron Donalds announced in-person events. Donalds and Greene's town halls limit registration to people in their respective districts. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley launched his 45th annual tour of all 99 counties in Iowa and faced opposition for some of his statements. Grassley talked about bipartisan legislation aimed at re-solidifying Congress's authority to regulate trade.
I'm trying to recapture the constitutional authority of Article 1, Section 8, one of the 18 powers of Congress to regulate interstate and foreign commerce.
Grassley mentioned Democrats caused a disconnect from the Constitution in 1963 and was met with boos from the audience. Both parties have seen frustrated attendees at their events with the recent legislation. Republicans get complaints for recent moves by the Trump administration, such as federal workforce cuts, likely a reason to limit attendance for some of their events. Democrats face backlash from their own party for supporting a bipartisan government funding bill. The government is also facing issues with the budget. The budget is $1.3 trillion more money than the United States has on hand. The amount is the second highest over a 6-month period on record. Meanwhile, the Trump administration plans to continue spending cuts with the State Department. A recent memo shows plans to nearly half of the budget to be cut from that organization.
And that's cool, and we're going to toss it to Johnny Voltman for a look at international things.
Thanks, guys. Negotiations are beginning, slowing and controlling of what's going on around the world. Also, attacks are causing rifts in potential negotiations to resolve the international conflicts.
Ukraine experienced their worst attack of the year with their war against Russia over the weekend. 2 ballistic missiles struck the northeastern city of Sumy, hitting a church service. 35 people died in the strike, and Ukraine's frustrations are boiling as it's been a month since Russia rejected a ceasefire offer.
1 month that has made it completely clear Russia is the sole cause of this war.
Israel is continuing to grow their ground operations in the Gaza Strip as 2/3 of the city is now under displacement orders or no-go zones. Humanitarian aid has not been in this strip for 6 weeks. An Israeli airstrike hit a functioning hospital on Sunday as well. While there were no deaths in the strike, the hospital is the last functioning one in the city.
And unfortunately, because of what happened, the capacity of this hospital to deliver care is disabled. It's currently non-functional.
Israel and Hamas are also entering negotiations for another ceasefire. This one would release 10 Israeli hostages and free hundreds of Palestinians who are either imprisoned or detainees. It would last 45 days, and talks for a permanent ceasefire would take place. Talks are continuing between the United States and Iran over the growth of Iran's nuclear program. Iranian officials announced negotiations will transfer from Tehran to Rome. The United States has not confirmed and are reportedly upset about the advancement of these negotiations.
So I think that might be tapping us along. But
Iran has to get rid of the concept of a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
So while talks are beginning and continuing in two of those situations, Ukraine and Russia's relationship remains on the rocks as no ceasefire talks have been regenerated. I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Izzy, it's interesting seeing all this stuff that's happening abroad.
Yes, it is, and that's why you need to stay tuned for the update.
Tune in next week for more updates from across the nation and world.
For the update, I'm Isabel Thier.
And I'm Ryan Lynch. Have a wonderful day.